spaces. And if you've got people standing outside on directing traffic on the pavement, it's a pretty critical thing to have volunteers and even the rivers who are even hotter, a respite place.
Yeah. See, generally in our Rib Fest, we generally make money from sponsorship, booth fees, but our booth fees at our event are, on a 4-day event are super significant. So we might have about 18 teams and they're all paying $9,000 a piece. So that covers a big chunk of our setup costs. On a 1-day event, especially not knowing what would happen, we can't charge that sort of amount. So, and then we run the beer tent at our event as well. So those are our 3 sources of income there. So for this model, we really didn't have much of any of those. We got a bit of sponsorship. We kept our costs as low as we could. We did a deal with the rivers where we got a percentage from them, and we did donations. And we ended up doing okay, but we had 3,000 cars almost through in the day. So for you guys to do it, you got to get some rivers on board, bit of sponsorship to cover your hard costs, I think, and then most of your money will probably be from donations. You can probably get, I don't know, Paul, what do you think? Like $1,000 a piece from a river, maybe?
Well, that seems to be a reasonable thing, and the safety valve here is because it's a drive-through, it isn't weather dependent. They can always find some reason not to want to pay anything, but it's fairly reasonable that they will have traffic flow regardless of the weather.
Yeah, I was willing to come out no matter what. So
Nice.
the only thing I had an issue with was the parking or the driving in on Guelph Line.
Yep.
It was blocking Fairview there.
Yeah.
And it looked like an accident waiting to happen. I'm surprised nothing did because the people on Fairview were getting so upset and they were revving their engines and driving through intersections. And it's just like somebody's going to get killed here.
Well, and that was a lesson that we learned. We have to get the cars off the main roads. Certainly, had it been a regular day, the police would have shut us down because fortunately we were the only thing happening in town. So you really have to factor in getting all those vehicles off the road.
So you have any questions, Doug?
So basically,
Well, you're muted, Doug.
Make the lines, sorry. Basically, you have to get a lot of pylons and make the lines on the parking lot so people are not on the road.
Yeah, that's what we did. We did pylons and fencing. And then we had a lot of volunteers to wave them through and to direct the people and tell them what to do.
Yep.
Hey, John, how much time did you guys need to put this together?
Well, from start to finish, about 6 weeks, I think. But that was literally from, sorry?
You guys are experienced at the whole Rib Fest aspect. So you just kind of carried some of that experience into this project?
Yes, we did, because to the extent that we set up lots before, our police, our health people, we dealt with the health department before. Paul, Bob, Bill, we've all done it, myself for 20 years. So yes, from that point of view, we did. But we also didn't really know what we were doing because it was a whole new thing. But having the rivers being able to, just plug and play type of thing was huge. And then we brought in some other help with the traffic and managed to put it together. And if we do it again, we've got to take a little more care with like you said, with the Guelph Line Fairview, because we won't get away with that one again. That was sort of apologize afterwards and not ask permission first. So, yeah.
Milena, did you have anything to ask?
No, I just was interested in so basically we need to occupy a great deal of parking lot to create loops.
Yeah.
If you have a parking lot picked out and get a factor of how many rivers you're or food vendors, so it may not be all rivers. If you send that off to me, I can give you some help with how I would suggest you lay it out.
Okay. Yeah, I've been on the parking lot at Mohawk quite a few times, and I can tell where the rivers would be, where the exits would be.
Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause it just,
Well, if we do it again, we'll likely have an area that came in and went to the rivers. And then after you exit the rivers, go to another area in the parking lot to get your elephant ears or your ice cream, or maybe have several stations, so, you know, like a, yeah. So that we can get a few more vendors there and a little more
Couple
income.
more stages, yeah.
Yeah. But I think Mohawk probably lends itself well to that, because I think they've got quite a few different areas, don't they?
they have two main parking lots on either end, but they've got a long driveway along the back. So once you
That's
bring them
good.
in to do the residence thing through the big parking lot, then you can send them out the long driveway to the exit.
Yeah, that's good.
The interesting thing we found with ours too was that although there were the lineups to get in, coming out, so we had 8 lines going through, and I was worried that with eight lines coming out of the thing, it would be a crowd getting out of the thing. There was no problem at all there. They
That's what I
seemed to
noticed
exit
too.
very easily.
See, you,
These are experienced teams, and they were processing about 300 cars an hour is
Yeah.
what,
yeah, so you could actually get off the 5th parking lot and people go around and come back. There's a cutoff in one section. You could actually do really well at Mohawk.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully they'll come back and talk to us about it.
Yeah.
Obviously, my August idea is probably out, but I don't think they're going to have residents at Mohawk come September.
not likely.
No.
So they might still be interested in talking to us in September to do this.
Yeah. Large office blocks are also theoretically available for on a weekend and even on a long weekend.
Yeah, the only office parking around here that I could think of was like DeFasco.
Mhm.
Or how big is the parking in Stony Creek, Mohawk? Not as big as
Not nearly as big. They put a big truck center in there, and then they did a GM training center at the back where the main parking was. So like I go to events there in the evenings, and it's a scramble to find parking. I actually usually park over at Sino's Auto, which is like a block away.
And the old Stony Creek City Hall, how is that?
That's pretty small.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's also an RCMP
Oh, well.
station, so I think they might have an issue with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking around. There's not a lot of big parking lots.
Yeah.
Originally, I thought about Winona Park, but then I drove by it and I realized how small it is now with all the homes and stuff that is encroached on it. And then they put the school across the road, and there's nothing down there to work with either.
Well,
Now,
all
what
the
about-
big malls are realizing that they don't ever utilize all the parking space that they were made to put in. And that's why they're building restaurants and other buildings all on the periphery of these
Yeah.
malls. So they're the only people that really have the ideal facility.
Now, what about a place like Centennial Park?
I was thinking Confederation Park.
Federation, yeah, thanks. Yeah.
That's one of the things I asked Chris Cutler about. If
Yeah.
if that was a city-run thing, or if they have their own separate department with parks.
No, I
that
think that is the
no, it's not city. It's got what's the call?
Conservation Authority,
Yes.
Yes.
Hamilton Conservation Authority.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I will
And
reach
they-
out to. I'll reach out to them if Mohawk doesn't pan out.
Since the wave pool is closed, that might be ideal place.
Yeah. They might want some sort of payment, but it probably wouldn't be unreasonable. And they have a lot of parking there. I think they're developing something there now, but they originally were going to make camping in one area there.
Well, they
And
did have campers there, the other
Did
side
they?
of the wave pool, and they're
Yeah.
ripping all that out right now. But we
Okay.
haven't really been given access to that in. It's got to be 15 years. I think the Road to Hope's the only one that ever lets you come in there.
When we rented their parking space at the other end, they charged us $1,500 when we did Tesla Electric Festival.
Hmm.
Just want to let you know.
That wasn't a huge parking lot either.
Wasn't that huge? We
No.
were.
You're
But
at
considering this is charity, they might give us to us.
Yeah, they might.
And there's also the opportunity of people being able to exit down by the campgrounds too, so they don't have to go back out where they came in.
Yeah.
It could be a good flow there. That was one of my other ones, and I asked Chris Cutler to find out about it.
And even like if people came off the beach road and drove in, there's a long road for them to get, so it wouldn't be for the lineups, it wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, and to come down the service road from Gray's Road,
Yes.
yeah, making the right-hand turn or coming along the beach. They'd only need one person directing traffic there. I'll get my white gloves out. I've directed lots of traffic events. I'm a big pylon. All right, so is there any other questions or?
Well, you have our contact numbers. If you think of something, let us know. If you've got some parking lots that you think might work, we'll gladly give you some input if you want some.
Excellent. I'll download the one from Mohawk if they're talking to me. I saw it online.
I think they're cleaning up. I'll check one on the Gage Avenue North. They're going to put the park there, just north of between Barton and Burlington Street.
Mhm.
Is that the old Consumer's Glass?
Yeah, they tore it down. I don't know. I noticed
Huge spot.
a month ago they were cleaning it up.
Yeah.
I'll look. I go by there like constantly.
I'll look at it too because I haven't looked lately, but I've noticed that. No, it's like 3 months ago they were cleaning up and all those piles were gone. They had dirt piles there.
Okay. So I'll contact the police, the fire, ask them the procedures to do that, the city health, and find out what the regulations are for Hamilton.
Yeah, you can tell them that particularly the health department that they can contact Halton Health Department for verification that there is a model for doing these.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
But you do have to have your people out overdoing things in terms of putting masks on and gloves and that kind of exposure. The problem is if you're trying to direct traffic and you've got a mask on, there is some challenges there.
Okay. And did you guys find the band helpful?
Well, I like them,
Yeah.
but having said that, I think from a cost point of view, they're probably a little expensive for it. I think you could get away with recorded music or something
Radio
like that.
station, John, you had suggested might
Yeah,
be
yeah.
a sponsor.
Yes, you can get somebody to come
yeah.
out and play from the event.
Okay, like an actual radio. I was thinking that broadcasting like a channel for the Red Fest, and you could give people directions as they're pulling in.
Well, some of the
Yeah.
guys been talking about doing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
like live streaming it. I think we were live streaming our music.
Yeah.
It's only the radio station broadcasts. You don't have to have a license for it if it's within 100 meters.
Huh.
That would cover your area, and you
Yeah.
could actually just tell everybody to tune to a certain channel.
Sure.
I think the units are like $500. You can
Yeah.
probably rent one cheaper. So
Yeah.
The other thing you have to be capable of dealing with is walk-on traffic. A one-day event is less likely to have these problems, particularly if you don't have bands there as well. But if you've got any residential areas nearby, it is an issue that you have to be able to contend with. Just blame the health department.
So then you would have to have a line for walk-in traffic.
No,
they weren't allowing it at all.
Yeah, not allowed, huh? Okay.
No.
Yeah, I saw the signs up.
Okay, I did not know.
Well, yeah, they weren't allowing it when we did it, certainly. Whether that'll change or not, who knows? But
Well, we'll all be in stage 4 by then, right?
perhaps.
I know my customers are starting to get a little upset because my coffee machine's not in the waiting room when they drop their cars off and they have to leave. They're all used to coming in, having a coffee, sit down, chatting. Now
Yeah.
it's just like you can't do anything.
It's a new normal.
Yep. How's Tom?
Tom's doing all right.
Do you have any issues or concerns or thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure how far along you are on this. Like, for instance, have you got a profit target set up yet, or?
Nothing at all. I just went through the event, thought it was really good. Then my asthma kicked in for a week. I couldn't do much. And then, so I started trying to put something together. This is like the opening talk right here.
So do we know what Burlington made?
We made 25 grand at the end of the day. And about half of that was donations and the other half was rivers and sponsorship. So we did really well on the donations, probably on average about $5 a car. People were great. You know, I don't know whether that'll continue. It was late, it was Canada Day and it was the first event and people were happy to get out. So it was pretty good there. But Tom, we went into it with the same questions being asked and we had no idea whether we'd make any money or not either. I think we were going to be really happy if we made, say, 5 grand. Would have been a total success. So we're pretty happy where it ended up.
But
Okay.
after 25 years with our event, the on-site sales part of what we do is changing. People come to our event and buy 8 dinners and walk away. So they're not buying beer or anything else. So this whole aspect of getting some revenue out of a model where people are driving through and picking things up seems to be something we will have to factor into our plans in the future anyway, because having an event with 30,000 people at it isn't likely going to be something even for next year.
Yeah.
Maybe you could look at a 6-pack to go. So after
You know what? We
beer.
tried that.
Yeah.
We tried that, and the word I'm told is there isn't a license to allow you to just do that. I think we might be able to partner with a restaurant and have them do it. But we talked about the idea of selling craft beer 6-packs and the Rotary Club doing it. We never went to the AGCO, but one of the other restaurateurs told me he had asked about it. You weren't allowed to do that just by itself.
But they do it for takeout dinners.
Yeah, exactly. But I think
Yeah.
that's the restaurant license that they're getting it, Paul.
Yeah. Somebody already has a license for it, is what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's too bad that Michael Peters, our president of this Rotary, isn't on board right now because he actually owns a restaurant and he
Wow.
makes his own beer.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
Which restaurant is that?
It's the George Hamilton downtown.
Oh, you mentioned that in your email.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what
Yeah,
that's
I was
about.
going to have a George Hamilton draft when I got home.
What is the name of your official title of your club?
It's Hamilton East Wentworth Rotary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not Stony Creek and yeah.
Well, Thomas with Stony Creek and Doug
Okay.
with Stony Creek. And I'm pointing at him like you guys can see me pointing.
Well, yeah, out in Durham region, 5 Rotary clubs get together and they do 3 Rib Fests a year. I think they're part of this group that's doing this 3-day event in Ajax. So it particularly for sourcing volunteers and donations and things, it's not a bad idea for smaller clubs to pull members together. We have 70 members in our club, so we have little different numbers to work.
Yeah, you're about 600% bigger than us. I think we have 9 active members in Hamilton East.
Yeah.
I think, what do you guys have? You guys have 20 something, don't you, Doug? Tom?
17.
17, okay.
Oh, boy.
Did Myra not come back?
Myra's back.
Oh, is she? Okay, because I see she's teaching up in the college again.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure.
I'll
comes-
tell you, a Zoom meeting with our club isn't a fun time, I'll tell you. People don't know how to mute their devices, so their birds and dogs and thing off background noises. It isn't a fun meeting.
The first couple we had, I think the first hour was spent, can you hear me now? Can you see me? I had a 1-hour conversation training session with one of the members after our first meeting because he wanted to learn how Zoom worked.
Did it go the second time?
Yeah, it worked. He's good. Okay, so if there's nothing else tonight, I don't
Okay,
see anybody else coming on.
all right.
Good luck with it, guys.
Thank
Okay.
you very
Thanks
much.
for your time, guys.
Thank
All right.
you.
Be in
No problem.
touch. Take care.
See ya.
Okay, have a good weekend.
You
Yeah.
too.
Time, guys.
So I'll just keep sending emails out and try to get some information gathered. And if you guys want to take it back to your club, see if there's an interest at some point, maybe September we can look at before the weather turns, like the third week of September, after everybody's not gone back to school.
Well, we have a fundraising committee meeting on Tuesday, so we'll be discussing it pretty heavily then.
I just thought we got to do something, right? And
I
this,
agree.
and this definitely made an impact in the Burlington area.
And don't be too quick to give up on that August timeline, if we think it's even possible to pull it all together.
Well, I'll put the stuff out. My only issue right now is I've been struggling with breathing issues. I had pneumonia, recovered from pneumonia, and now my asthma has been acting up. So like Monday, Tuesday this week, I was out of commission with my asthma. So it's not something I'm going to be able to take the reins on all the time. So
No.
I don't want to say, yeah, I can do that, and then spend 2 weeks not being able to do anything. So,
You're looking at, if we start next week, it's about 6 weeks timeline for the 29th.
That's about when the Winona Peach Festival would have been, or is that the week after, I guess? Eh?
Week after, yeah.
But
Yeah,
that might be a good timeline.
And Tesla Electric Festival, it has been canceled, by the way.
so talking, I think Mohawk is probably the best spot over Eastgate. But if we want to keep it down in our area, we should really look at Eastgate or Confederation Park.
Well, that at Eastgate by the Sears is completely empty.
That was my idea.
That whole side is empty. So the only issue is going to be, well, if the restaurants inside are open, and will they have issues? But maybe if we go for a Labor Day setup or something where they're closed, maybe then they'll let us go. So
Yeah,
That was the idea. And along with that, I'm not even sure if they're gonna make them close on Labor Day this year. They
well,
may.
true. It's a whole new world out there right now, isn't
So
it?
I thought the best exit from at Eastgate Square was actually the parking lot or the entrance by the beer store back out onto Queenston Road. Bring them in on the side by where you can only make right-hand turns in, and then weave them all the way up, hit the rivers, and then right after the rivers, they go right out by that exit or by the food court. So, and they're only letting 8 cars out at a time. The exit's not the issue. It's trying to keep the cars off the road, like get them on the parking lot as fast as possible. And one of the issues I noticed with Burlington is once they got them on the parking lot, they weren't encouraging them to move up in the line. They were like leaving 3 car lengths as they're weaving through. I'm like, get them moved, like pack them a little quicker. You'll get more cars off the back, like off the road. Because it was scary on Guelph Line. I ended up driving through the intersection, going down, turning around on Guelph Line and coming back to make the right-hand turn in. And it took me like an hour to get on the property.
Wow. So my understanding is the rivers are organized under one guy who kind of crews this whole group of rivers, who then put on a traveling road show through the fairs and various rib fests. Do we know who that outfit is or who that guy is?
I'm sure they'll give us his name.
Because I think if we can establish contact there and get an idea of how what kind of kickback we can expect from there, how many rivers they would have, how much space are the rivers going to tie up? Like, I think that would be something that would be good to know.
That will be one of the contacts I asked. I think he might have given us some of the information in the one email, but unfortunately it did not come home to me. It just went to my work.
Well, I read your email in detail, and there's no specifics on who
Okay.
the contact was, other than they were forced to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So,
Which makes sense. Because-
but we'll need a contact name. So,
Okay. And I'll ask him. I understand the non-disclosure, because then they'll say, well, you gave Burlington this deal. You gave so-and-so this deal, right?
my understanding
could do me
is the
better.
original Rotary Club that started this, was that Waterdown or Burlington?
That was the two gentlemen you were talking to today.
Okay, well, they've got a private deal, and they actually initially struck out, and they actually have relationships with all the individual rivers. But I gather one guy is in organized this group, and everybody else who wants a Rib Fest has to book it through this one guy. So we need to find out who that one guy is.
Okay. So we'll ask that. That's one of the questions I'll email them. And we'll
Thank
start a
you.
conversation. They may tell us they don't have any dates in August and September.
Well, or I think you'll find they've got lots available because everything's been canceled, right?
Well, but it sounds like they're organizing a dozen of them over the next 2 months.
Well, I think they've gone private where they're just trying to find some spaces and set up kind of like a traveling food truck.
Well, there is a guy who broke off from those original rivers about 5-6 years ago, and he started a for-profit Rib Fest. And that's the one that they brought in on the East Mountain. They did up at the Valley Park area there. And it was for-profit only. I didn't recognize any of the rib wagons that were there. None of them show up with the Rotary ones. And he's been showing up in all these different small communities running these Rib Fests like the Rotary was running it, but they were splitting the profits.
Okay.
Yeah. All I know is it was a horrible experience going there. I went up there twice, and it did not have the atmosphere of a Rotary Rib Fest. I've been going to the Burlington one since they started. And the first year it rained so hard, there was like a river going through the beer tent. And I've gone to the ones in Mississauga, Toronto, Oakville, Ajax. I did the one in Niagara Falls. They had like a one-day thing. But yeah, so we'll find out the guy's name, find out what dates he's available, see if he wants to meet, if we can get the city on board and get a location nailed down, and if your group's interested.
Well, yeah, because he might even have some kind of plan or program in place that if you give us 3 days, we can do this, and the other thing. Give us one and you get this and that. So it would be interesting to see what this guy has to say. So.
All right, I'll send them an email tonight, see if they can provide that information for us.
Sounds good. Thank you, Paul. I think you put a tremendous amount of work into this already, which we really appreciate.
I
Thank
just
you.
like ribs.
Beer.
My son says he'll volunteer if they pay him in ribs.
All right. So we'll have a meeting on Tuesday, the club fundraising, and then I'll let you know after that. I'm pretty sure, I'm 90% sure we're going to be interested in pursuing this. So.
Okay.
All right. Everybody
guys.
have a great weekend.
All right. Have
Thanks
a good
for your time,
weekend,
guys.
guys.
Melena,
Take care, Doug.
I just want to talk to Melena for a sec.
Okay, guys.
Thursday's meeting, I think they wanted to have one.
Yes.
They've moved my training session till Thursday, so I'll probably not be there.
What time is the meeting, Paul?
I don't know if Peter set one or not, but he
Well,
said
yeah.
in 2 weeks, and that'll be this Thursday.
Yes.
So I'll send him an email just letting him know I won't be available on Thursday. But we'll try and follow this up with
Okay.
emails and go from there.
Oh yeah, it will be on this Thursday, the 23rd. Yeah.
And your daughter likes her new wheels?
Yes.
Yes. She had a little had a little cry outside my shop.
Did she?
Yeah, she came and cleaned it out, and they came and picked it up and paid her for it. She was taking pictures of the old car, and
She's had it for over 13 years.
yep.
So yeah, no, she likes the car. She got not the EX model, Kia.
Yeah, I don't know which one it was. I just saw her taking the pictures, the old one, and then I saw it on Facebook.
It's a red one. All they had in the black or red, so she picked red. She didn't want either color, but between two colors,
Yeah.
she picked red, right? And it's no interest she's not paying interest, no
Well,
interest.
yeah, the deals are unbelievable right now. The cost of cars I don't get.
I know.
Yeah, and the depreciation when you drive off the lot, that just it hurts me.
For her, for a long time, all she has to do is oil change.
That's good.
You right?
Yep.
Like no expenses. My car isn't, this is I always end up for some reason around before Christmas getting a lease. And mine is expiring next year in November. So I don't know. I might buy my car at the end. I bought Val's car, the Subaru.
Yep.
And I'll have it paid by March of this coming year. So then I don't have payments anymore.
Yeah, well, I always have conversations with customers and they're like, well, what would you do? I said, well, I have an automotive garage where I pay people to fix cars. So I can buy a 13 or 15-year-old car and fill in the gaps in my work schedule, having my employees fix it. And it's going to be a lot cheaper for me than going out and buying a new car.
Exactly. But see, before Jeremy's father is a mechanic.
Yep.
And he's retired now. And he used to do it for, if his time was free, discounted parts during his free time at the shop.
Yep.
Where he worked, right? He would take the car in and get the work done, right?
Yep.
But she doesn't get that anymore.
Yeah, see, all three of my vehicles are 2007s that I own.
And
My son's, my wife's, and mine.
But see, the thing, yeah, so it's like, if me like getting a used machine and fixing it here, right?
Yep.
Because if I fix it myself, it doesn't cost much, right?
That's it.
And that's a different. But I'm going to tell you, years ago, we used to buy cars, and we had this van, I can't remember what. And we spent so much money on fixing, and I sat down and figured it out. And I said to Val, we're better off leasing it. Because especially with now the interest, like his was like 0.09 something.
As long as it's locked in, because I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of interest rates go up in the next 5 years.
Well, his was locked in, and it's like, and mine is 1.99. I paid 1.9.
Because we have some serious debt to pay in the next 5 years when this thing's
Well,
winding.
you know what? It's going to be bad for the country next
It's going to
year.
be bad for everybody. Even the United States, who's given them nothing, has given all the rich people lots of money. They're into multi-trillion dollars. Like,
Well, I know my daughter, she was getting $2,000 a month. Wasn't enough to live, because her rent is almost $2,300, right? But it got her through so far, right? So
Yep.
there's all kinds of programs, and she's applied and gets 600 here. She got some loan. She has 30 years to pay off from the government, low interest. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Just to survive, because it's bad. Like they do get stuff, and it's like going to, I don't know. Maybe it was, if we didn't know that was going on, we all got sick and get through it, and that's it.
or we'd have millions or hundreds of thousands of people dying like they're doing right now.
True.
That makes me so sick when I watch the news.
I don't watch the news. I can't handle it.
Well, just like the governors, oh, it never happened to us. Everything's great. And then they're not saying anything, right? How could we see this coming? I'm like, we told you. Like, everybody said this is going to happen. You said no.
Pardon?
I said, everybody told the governors like in Florida and LA and that it's
going
going to happen. This is what, and they said, no, we beat that. We flattened the curve. Everything's fine. And now they're saying, nobody could have seen this coming. I'm like, everybody saw it coming. Everybody told you it was coming.
Yeah, because, but look, there's a spike. My brother lives in Austria most of the time.
Yep.
But he also has a house down in Bosnia. And my niece was going to go Greece for vacation.
Yep.
Well, they just closed the airports and borders. So she can't go to Greece. She's going on holidays of today. And the Serbia's cut travel because people wouldn't listen. And well, they've been protesting and all that. Whatever. Like totally irresponsible, right? How are you feeling?
I'm all right. It's just what happened on the weekend. I guess my tubular inhaler. Where is my camera?
Yeah.
It has a little counter in it. I can't even see it now. Where is it? There. It has this little counter in it right here where
Yeah. Okay.
I took it Sunday and I took it Monday and I just wasn't feeling good. Right. So we came home Monday night and I was like coughing and throwing up. I couldn't breathe. And I took it. And then one of my kids looked at it. He goes, Dad, that little counter's red. That means there's no more numbers in there. And I hadn't looked at it in a few days. So I was probably off the steroid medication for a couple of days. And then I got into the humid weather. I was doing stuff at the shop and it affected me. So
You have allergies too, right?
I do, but I've never been tested for them. But like my skin gets scratchy and itchy. Nathan has every allergy on the planet right now.
We, Marion, we get her, she can be, I have to call my other daughter in the States. We get Zyrtec from her.
Yeah.
And you can only buy across the border. Eat same ingredients, different combination. It works like a charm for her.
Yeah, I hadn't had any issues until I got sick
Okay, yeah.
with the pneumonia. I literally had not touched my inhaler in 2 or 3 years. I was feeling better. I was fine. And then I thought my back was starting to hurt. I was doing this a lot. And my sinuses are always acting up. I need sinus surgery. And I was like, oh, like this. And I couldn't, I coughing. And I said, my back's just killing me. I can't like sit up straight. And then I had the asthma attack, which I thought was an asthma attack. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor goes, yeah, you've had pneumonia for a little while, or for some time, he said. And then it explained to me that my whole body was curving in to allow myself to breathe better. My back wasn't really bugging me. I had pneumonia, and I was like altering my body so I could breathe better.
Oh my goodness.
So once he started giving me the meds, all of a sudden my shoulders loosened up and I was breathing better. And so
That's good.
I just wasn't, because I go to a physiotherapist, right, for my back, and I get a chiropractic adjustment. So I haven't been able to do that since March.
Well,
That's
Val
what I
has,
thought my issue was.
Val has a problem with, what does he have? He leg, and so he's been there before, Absolute something, Stony Creek from Barton. They are on 190 Barton Street, Stony Creek.
Absolute. I don't recognize it.
Rehab, yeah, they're really good. He's gone today, second time, he already is doing better.
Well, my issue is it's old football injuries that I'm having issue with. I've
Yeah.
got scar tissue in here.
Alex, that's like Alex. My Alex has all kinds of issues.
Yeah.
From soccer injuries. He's got all kinds of issues. So I understand.
Yeah, so they do the fascious release and stuff, and then I can move my shoulder for a week or two. And I'm out of shape.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
And anyways, I'll talk to you next week, okay?
All right, Milena. Thank you for coming on.
Bye.